Well, live, welcome everybody to Mark Bayerski YouTube channel. It comes up and it says live 59, like it comes up like 1 hour. It's a weird thing why, it, yeah, I don't understand that. Weird. I don't get it. I'll figure StreamYard out one day. But welcome everybody to a beautiful day. I was up nice and early this morning, 7 o'clock. Got a good night's sleep, feeling well. Look at my eyes, looking good. Look at my eyes, look at my eyes. Anyway, I think we should give ourselves a good cleansing. So I'm going to use this, which is look at it, beautiful. Look at it, it's so beautiful. Yeah, that's my contribution to the world. We sell literally hundreds of these. I wouldn't say a month, but we've sold thousands, and people love it. And yeah, I think it's about 70 to 75% returning clients for this bottle, which means that it work. You don't get 75% returning clients if it doesn't work. So the cleansing negative, this isn't about me trying to sell it. I'm just saying this works. And the reason why is because we figured out that the Palo Santo from the tree, this works best when you get, I know it's a trade secret, but it doesn't matter. Let everybody understand it, because if it's healing you, that's good. But the Palo Santo tree, it's the tips of the Palo Santo tree, the tip, so we're just taking from the tips and using that in here. So what you've got is 100% Palo Santo, which was taken from the tip of the tree. I think it's about 5 inches. So they cut it and then they use that and distill it to this. And then we make this with the only thing we can do is we mix it with alcohol, which you'll think, oh, that's really like, no, alcohol is dangerous when you consume it. But if it's mixed in this, it has no effect to the energy field, honestly. What takes primarily effect is the cleansing and the clearing of negativity from the Palo Santo. So this is how I use it. I put it in my motorbike. It's always in my motorbike, in my rucksack, and I always, yeah, it's very strong. So when you talk, after you've just sprayed it, you can start coughing. But it's good, and I'm always using other things. I'm always getting other castor oil. Today I've just bought that. Good for the belly button, good for mixing with rosemary, and yeah, utilizing it with a base oil. Anyway, there's loads of amazing stuff you can do if you research and take your time and learn. There's plenty of books out there, the home recipes, the old healers recipe books. Fantastic. We'll talk a lot about that soon as our new website launches with the very safe and protected server. Fingers crossed. I've got a friend who's going to gift me or us a server, and that server is going to be utilized for those who are wanting to share their gift to the world and not to get shut down by the darkness on these apps. So that's good. So we will have, hopefully by the end of the year, we should have a very safe place to be able to chat like this and be able to talk. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but I kind of stop myself. I kind of stop myself when I talk about things all the time. I stop myself and I can't be who I need to be. And this is the frustrating part about this. I've had another restriction on Facebook for just posting something, which was, I can't even say it anyway, but it's just everywhere. I'm on 2 strikes now on here, so I can't say anything. So I'm like being really careful again. It's just, it, you can clearly see that there is a dark demonic presence on these sites that are closing in on our freedom of speech. They are turning everybody into limitation of what they truly are and what they want to express. And you can see it's like a drip feed. It's like Chinese or Japanese torture, drip, 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 till we eventually not be able to say a thing. Well, I've seen this coming for years. So now I've got the opportunity to work alongside a beautiful soul who's going to help us, who wants to help us, and getting a server again is a like you're talking 100,000 euros for a server. So my friend says I've got a server, and he's going to help us, which is going to be great. I mean that's just that's kindness, that's love, and I'm not utilizing that server just for myself. I'm utilizing it for everybody that I can. So those that are, I'm going to offer it free. I'm just going to say, guys, I've got a server. You guys who have got platforms and you want to share your truth, and you want to be safe, you can jump on board with me. Here's the terms and conditions. I'm going to try and keep the server up, but sometimes it might drop because of the electric in Spain. But hopefully it will stay on. And yeah, you have to bear with us. And yeah, I'm just going to help as many people as I can who are truthers. And I know a lot of truthers, so they've got like, I don't know how big the server is, but I'm gonna utilize it to all its capacity to help people. Anyway, that said, today is not about that. Today is about I want to introduce you to this lady called Awakened Survivor with Nelly. I really like Nelly. I like the way she expresses herself. I like her truth. I like where she is on her journey. And not to say that I am any more experienced than her about anything, but I think we all have different, like what I learned from my mentors to when I started to question it. Both my dear mentors took at some point took a bit of I don't know whether it's ego or whether it's the program, but I do know that my first mentor was an old school. They were both old school, and they both were trained by old school. So their old school train. So their understanding was old school trained. There was a lot of stuff with Shirley that she was exploring, and I noticed that she was becoming more open, but she was still fixated on her training. And what they didn't like, no, Shirley wasn't like that. She just had a conflict with me about one thing. But my first mentor, she just did not want me to have my own thoughts. She did not want me to stray from her teaching. She wanted me to be she want she was a bit like a narcissist, I've got to say. She had the same temperaments as a narcissist, or should I say a dark soul, because today's conversation is a narcissist who is controlled by demons versus a being with a dark soul. And what I'm going to share with you today is that, breaking down the truth one meme at a time. And this subject matter is obviously very, very important right now, because if you take away the word narcissist and replace it by dark soul, or a being with a dark soul, I think you'll find that the world is starting to recognize the fact that when when these beings are in a safer environment, they are showing their true colors far more now. So what we're finding is that they're not frightened of showing themselves. So you can see that within politics, within the highest echelons of the program, and you see in corporate, you see in religion, like you're starting to see things that you've never seen before. And because of the frequency and energy that is being admitted in the world 24 hours a day, because they've created this frequency, whether it comes through the phone, the computer, whether it's from what I believe is Link up there, which I believe the man who presents himself as being a trillionaire now, and everybody falls for his bullshit, and he runs how many companies, and yet he spends all day on Twitter. Like none of it makes any sense. And if you know anything about trillion, which you probably don't, but hey, go and check it out. Check out what a trillion is. You can't even fathom it, which means it's absolute bullshit. At the end of the day, what is happening is darkness has realized that it cannot fool the masses anymore by way of what they've done for the past 2, 3, 4 decades, and that is they can't utilize what's called this invisible energy, which is government, because it doesn't wash anymore. So those in power, they have to like decrease them now and bring in a new power into this world, and that is these people who are, ultimately those that are telling you that they normally look a bit white. They normally look a bit weird. They kind of look clonish. They kind of look, and the way they act is like there's something not right about that. There's something very wrong about that. Well, there is, because they're not like you and I, and they're at the highest levels now. So they are the Silicon Valley giant next generation of leaders. So they're going to implement to the masses, normally the NPCs, that we are the next generation of whatever you want to think they are, gurus, geniuses, whatever you might want to call them, but they're the next ones to follow. And NPCs love to follow. That's their life. They follow people by what haircut they've got if they're a football player, what clothes they wear if somebody's famous, a singer. They'll change their appearance and whatever the program gives them. So the program is giving you Elon Musk, and the program is giving you Teal. The program is giving you Zuckerberg, and so on. So the darkness is always giving you something new. It is in its essence demonic, and there's so many layers to it. But that said, what I want to do is focus today on. I just went off on one again on Nelly, and she's made a video, and it was made 8 hours ago, I think, and it's called The 9 Traits of Malignant Narcissists Share with Demonic Entities. Okay, well, I'm very interested in this because I've been through this for 8 years, so I know a little bit about this, but my main understanding about this is at 38 years old, I'm nearly 60 now. At 38 years old, I started working as a full-time healer. And funnily enough, my first mentor wrote a book, and that book was Trapped in Between Two Worlds, it was called. And it basically I've never read the book, but what I gathered is that she was able to, this is the story she told me, and I completely believe the story. She was able to go into a house in Ireland, And this is just one story. And she priests went there, mediums, psychics, lots of people went there. They couldn't sort the issue out of the house. And it was on the reason why I know this is because it was on a TV show that she sent me to watch, and it was called Michael Aspel Strange But True. So she went there in Ireland, and they invited her there, and she soon realized that there was, she called them unhappy spirits. That's what she used to teach me. Tell me, these are unhappy spirits, which is a nice way to look at it. I say that they're spirits in denial. So I kind of saw it in a different way, and it's seeing them unhappy. They didn't seem unhappy, they seemed in denial. Why? And this is one of the arguments we had with each other. I used to go back to her house, and she was very keen and interested in what I did that day. And I'd say, well, I've been to an house today, and it was a really weird sensation. I could feel in one room the presence of a girl. She was round about 26 years old. I could feel her. I could feel the color of her eyes. I could feel her. But what I most of all felt about her is that she wasn't listening. It was almost like she was stubborn. And it was a fever, and it was many, it might have been 100 years ago, but there is no space of time. But she died of a fever. And I could see her on the bed, as I did a lot of people when I went into houses in this entrapped in between two worlds, on the bed. But they got up off the bed and they moved around as if they were still alive. And I tried to communicate, and it was like they were in denial. So I said to her, they feel they feel stubborn. They feel like they don't even want to listen. And it took time to be able to sit there and try and get through and try and call their family in spirit, which then I realized, and I said to my first mentor, it feels like I was brought there because somebody wants to help them go home. And it wasn't like I was calling for their family, because it was almost like I knew that the family was ready to be there. And it felt like I was a bridge. And I don't know why the spirit world can't communicate to them. What they should be able to do everything, shouldn't they? Shouldn't spirit world be able to, all seeing, all knowing, what? And what I come to understand is the spirit world, in my understanding, it's not that they have limitations. It's just that the world itself has to run a certain way. Whether you look at it as guidelines, whether you look at it as they can't, and they can only do so much, they can't just appear in front of you. And I don't know any of those things, but what I felt was, I'm in this room and there's this girl lying down, and she's basically sweating. She's basically dying of like this flu. And I'm not really into flu per se, because it's like, but she's dying of what I saw back then as I would call flu. Whatever it was, whether it was a poisoning or whatever, she's dying. And she's living through this moment to moment as I feel it. Not every minute, but it just like I might go back. I might have gone back the next day, because I'm just learning. I'm just beginning to understand all of this. And eventually, this girl, I was able to communicate. It was like I'm ended up talking to you. It felt like she's talking to me. She's communicating with me now. And now all of a sudden, the spirit world is stronger in the room. And it's like she's just woken up from being in Groundhog Day. And then I'm saying, I can feel your sister, or I can feel your mum, and your mum's here. And then she's like, oh, it was actually a sister. And I can feel your sister in the spirit world here now. And then, oh, where? And then all of a sudden they connect. And at that connection, she moves, she vibrates home. So I go downstairs and say to the family, I think whatever's happened, it's done. And I said, I can only tell you what I feel, but at that moment, It's not like a bright light comes in. It's like a frequency and energy hits you, and you can only describe it as a bright light. It's just a, it's so pure and so visible, but it's hard to see what it is. And it's just a frequency that vibrates, but it's hard to explain. And then it's gone. Um, and this was a regular occurrence. And when I was with my mentor, I would say this. And she says, "Oh, they're just unhappy." Like, unhappy? She didn't seem unhappy. She seemed like she was just doing the same thing and there was no unhappiness. She seemed like she was bloody stubborn. That's what it seems like, that she's not even listening. But eventually I managed to learn to understand how to connect. Not every one of them, not every one of them. And there's loads of different reasons why spirit is trapped. And there's some bad spirits that get trapped as well. It's another story. And some like I called them. Anyway, by the by, at the end of the day, my understanding was different from my teachers through experience, not through anything else. And I noticed a pushback. Like, why would you push back against something that I've just explained to you? And on one hand, you're really excited for me to come round and tell you what I've experienced. But on another hand, I can see you fighting against what you've always believed to be true. That is now kind of messing with what you've put out there. Like my understanding of stuff, if I understand something else, I'll change because I'm like, that makes more sense. That feels right. So I call them spirit in denial. They're in denial. They don't want to know what you're saying. They don't believe what you're saying because their reality is they don't see, they're not stuck in between two worlds. They're still existing. They're still in this. It's the weirdest thing. How could somebody live in that house and a trapped spirit in that house still being in that Groundhog Day and still recognizing everybody in the house and causing issues sometimes, and they do. So, I want to finish on this point with the girl that I cleansed that house with, and I said to them, "Look, I don't feel her here anymore." So I went back. I don't. This is right at the beginning. I wanted to know what happens afterwards. Like, so they would show me a book. They showed me a book and they wrote down. It was always normally at the same time, times a day, 4 times a day. It'd be at the certain times, and I'm like, that's really interesting. So it's like a pattern happening all the time, and it's at a certain time all the time, at night and day. And sometimes we notice her. Sometimes she does this. Sometimes this happens. Like at first, I'm like, okay, I don't really. At first, when I went to the house, I'm like, I'm very skeptical. I'll see. And then I just felt this spirit, and I'm like, whoa, there is something here. So when I felt that the sister came and she woke up from this denial, it just disappeared. The room felt totally different. Every time I went back into that room, nothing felt the same anymore. And I'm like, okay, well, the room feels different. So I'm going to ask you just to just keep writing down in your book and see what you get. So the next day, they told me it's gone. I'm like, okay, wow, okay, brilliant. Will you keep me informed if it comes back or anything like? Of course we will. But we're very thankful because the family that lived there, they had 2 boys, and the boys were struggling. The boys were struggling with many things, and then that struggle disappeared. So this is one thing I'm telling you out of maybe, I don't know, 1,000, maybe more of experiences that I've had. I used to have experiences day after day after day with going into houses. And let me tell you, not every house had that. Some people were just, it was their own energy. They were going through stuff. The daughter might have, the son might have, because when you, as you grow, and you expand as a child, then becomes teenager. There's some frequency and energy that can be given off. If a child is gifted to spirit and somehow that child isn't, and then they lose that connection and that child flourishes, then sometimes children can have a great connection to the spirit world and to spirits, good and bad. So there's so much we can talk about in this what's called field of invisible. It's invisible, you don't see it. But there's so many subjects on this that you don't see. And it's mocked and ridiculed. Why? Because you don't see it. Of course, it's mocked and ridiculed because NPCs have no clue to what this means. They don't understand. Whereas a good soul understands it perfectly. And a dark soul, I think, I think a dark soul knows more than a good soul. Because a dark soul in this world it's like being in a playground of bullies. They just know everything. Whereas a good soul in a playground with bullies is struggling to understand why all of this is happening. So the world is geared up for dark souls to just thrive because that like that don't get me wrong, there's great power in good souls, and good souls can communicate to the spirit world, and like dark souls and demonic and attachments and entities, they are always on hand with dark souls. We are on hand with good souls from our home world. They're always around if we need them, but there is a difference. Dark souls are always around entity attachments and demonic. They're always, it's almost like it just comes out of them. It's part of them. Whereas we as good souls, we don't push, we don't force. We appreciate the fact that whether you believe in free will or not, but we have respect for our brothers and sisters. So it's not like we're trying to force stuff on everybody and say the light, the light, the light. Whereas darkness, that's all it does. It's a betrayal of everything that we believe in. It is everything that we go against. Whereas that's their this is their who they are. It's their life. So anyway, I'd love to talk more, but I will do when we've got our membership site, and I'll promise you, I will go into so much detail where, if you've heard me now, it's been about 10 or 15 minutes that I've been speaking, right? In that time of me speaking, I've had to hold back about at least 9 or 10 times about what I'm saying now because I don't want to go to a place where I'm going to get into trouble. This leads on darkness. If you talk about darkness, you are going to be in trouble on these platforms. If you talk about deceit and deception, if you talk about anything that you know to be true, darkness is waiting. This algorithm, this conscious algorithm is watching and waiting for you to say anything that you step out of line with truth. So it's very difficult for me, and I don't know how long it's going to take after we've set up the membership site, that I'm actually able to, because of the trauma that we've all been through, to be able to actually just flow without fear and just speak truth, all by design. So Nelly, I don't know Nelly. I don't know much about her. I just know that because I started talking about narcissists 4 months ago, and tried to say to you that they're not narcissists, they're dark souls. Things started popping up because the algorithm likes to, pop stuff up. And she popped up on my feed. And I think somebody sent me something by her, and I just want to break again. If Nelly is watching at any point, I've invited her onto my podcast because I have the utmost respect for her. She's very well spoken. She really is good at observing, and she studies very hard, and she looks at many things. Got to give her respect. I love it. So I'd love to talk to her. And I've sent her a message on this video saying, that I have a different take and please come onto my podcast so we can chat. I'd love to do that. I hope she does one day. I don't know. Everybody looks at people in different ways, and I understand that. In this spiritual world, I'm very, very skeptical. So maybe I'm going into her world, which is narcissist world, and she's probably maybe skeptical of me, and so she should be. But you never know. One day, and even if not, I've mentioned to a friend of mine, please get her on your podcast because she's a lady, because she'd be great. And the only reason why I want her on podcasts is because I want to help. I want her to grow. I want people to listen to this because for me, this is a stepping stone in the right direction. And it's not about, oh, you've got it all wrong. It's not ego. It's like, yeah, it all makes everything that she says makes sense on a level. And she's now moving up to another level where she's now saying, actually, narcissists, and this is what I like her a lot, she's starting to recognize, or she may have recognized all along, which I think she did, but now she's starting to talk more about the spiritual aspect of narcissists, which most don't. It's all psychology based, which stops you from really truly understanding the truth. That's why I say psychology is there as a gatekeeper. So let's listen, shall we, to the great Nelly. And all I'm going to do is point out what I've learned through my 2 decades of being a healer and seeing what happens and the difference between a dark soul and a light soul and an NPC. I'm calling them NPCs now because I can't think of anything else. They're absolutely non-players. Absolutely. They just do exactly what the program tells them to do. And I've learned to understand that I have no negative feelings about that anymore because I figured out in myself, why was I upset about people who got upset who was an NPC? They're just a program. They don't have feelings per se. They're just doing what the program tells them to do. So I don't feel bad about that anymore. And I don't feel egoistic like I'm more important than an NPC because I don't see them as anything but part of the program, which is fine. It's great. So when I get stupid comments, it used to upset me over the years. Like, why can't you just see what I'm saying? Because they can't. They are the program. The program is always going to back the program. So what are you wasting your energy for? So I believe this Nelly is a good soul, and I think she's been through trauma, and I think she genuinely wants to help everybody. And apparently she gives sessions. I think she'd be great for anybody who just needs to break out. I think here's the thing. I was in a relationship that I spent basically all my time fighting with what I believe is attachment in my brain, which was a constant battle. And when I cleansed that away, it would come back again because I'd go back to the house or wherever it was they were. And it was just like another attachment, another attachment. So I'd leave the house and I'd be having this conversation and battle between myself. And I used to think, is this your mind? But then I realized it isn't my mind. And all of the confirmation that happened was when I went to confront myself with a so-called counselor. And I said, I can't live anymore this way. And can you imagine being with a wife that your daughter's never heard ever raise your voice in 20 years of living with a woman and having a happy life, literally not being angry and aggressive and shouting shouting at your partner, to all of a sudden getting into another relationship and then all of a sudden You're triggered. You're getting triggered. You're getting triggered. You're getting angry. You're screaming. You're shouting. You're saying, "Leave me alone. Go away." Like, what's wrong with? You were always like this. You've always been like this. No. This is who you are. This is what you've always been like. Like, and then the demons, and then your brain trying to understand. Like, why? Why? It's really good to understand that when you sit in front of somebody who knows nothing about you in the sense of what you're going through, and then you sit there and you say, and they look at you and smile and say, "So why are you here?" And you say, "I want to be a better partner." And why do you want to be a better partner? Because I'm just, I can't live with myself anymore. I can't. What do you mean by that? I'm like, for the first time in my life in 8 years with my partner, I literally, I get angry all the time. I'm like literally screaming and shouting and leaving and going and coming and going month after month, and I can't be with you, and I'm like, please go, and splitting, not splitting up, but just leaving because oh, and so what do you want to do? I want to heal. I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what I'm missing, but I want to heal. I want to be a better partner. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. And what's your partner like? Partner's fine. Never said a bad word to anybody. Always looks amazing. Always, like, look. But I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, I'm afraid to say that your partner's a narcissist. And there's nothing wrong with you. Sometimes to get that confirmation from somebody who doesn't know you, after what I just said, how do you know that? And then you realize that that counselor is actually more than a counselor. And you find out that that counselor has been a psychic and a healer, and they mix both of them together. And then what you're hearing is your life story for 8 years, and you just break down in tears because at that point you realize that you were not fucking crazy, and everything that was done and said was very, very dark, very, very scary. And coming to terms with all of this, so I understand Nelly, and I understand anybody who's been through these things. So let's together talk about this, okay? So let's listen to the great Nelly. Love her. Please come on my podcast if you watch this, Nelly. Please come on. Let's have a great talk, because everything that you're saying is absolutely right. It's just I have a little bit of a different take, and maybe you do have that take. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But what matters is we should be able to share and tell the world. So let's go, shall we? Because this is my subject right now. I can't help it. But dark souls, I want to reveal them. And to reveal them, honestly, guys, it can take years to understand them. So here we go.
The further that I get along on this journey, and the deeper that I dive into understanding what narcissistic abuse actually is, the more that everything points back to one single, undeniable reality: that malignant narcissists are demon operated. Lately, I've been doing...
Okay, so whatever she's done in her life, she's now come to the point where psychology isn't the factor anymore. What she's come to is a completely different awareness. So she's gone from this awareness to this awareness. And she's now saying that this is spiritual. She mentioned the word demonic. And what she said there is that they are led or controlled by demons. Okay? So what she's saying in truth is that This is what I'd like to talk to her about. So what are you saying, that that person, this, I don't want to upset her if she came on the show, because she might think, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. But do you think that this person soul is a good soul, and that that good soul has been hijacked by demons? If you took the demon away, would that person have a good soul? It's just a question I'm asking. Because what she's saying is that they are run by demons. Now, I have a different take to that, guys. A dark soul is always going to be a dark soul. And it is run by the very nature of the frequency and energy that it comes from. You are run by the very nature and frequency that your soul is. So you run on love, kindness, caring, sharing, happiness, creating, loving, hugging, just frequency that comes through, the joy that you feel on Mother Earth, the joy that you feel every day when you sit and meditate, and just wanting to feel good, wanting to connect to something higher, wanting to feel that those are magical moments. That's who you are. A dark soul functions differently. It's cunning, it's devious, it's it's wanting to destroy, it's wanting to copy, it's wanting to manipulate, it wants to be, it's devious. Its nature is fear. It's, I'm telling you, its nature is fear. Darkness always fears. You fear, but your fear is the darkness. The darkness fears you. What does it fear of you? You, your light, your truth. Darkness doesn't want truth, because darkness is a manipulator. It's a liar. It's a cheater. It will use all of these things to manipulate you. So it will mirror you, but that's why when you're with them, your actions, I can see, this is deeper than you can imagine. Your words, your actions are one thing, but I feel something different. So when I used to have an argument and they were silent, I used to say, you want to just rip my head off now? You want to just scream and shout? And they didn't say a word. They wouldn't say a word. I could feel it. I could feel the anger, but they would never show it. So let's go into detail of what she's saying. She's saying that we can be run by demons. And that's what she's saying narcissists are. They're run by demons. I disagree with that. I believe that a good soul, when a good soul is compromised and they're losing their mind, or they feel pain or suffering, or there is negative energy in them, it's a bit like your aura just opens up, and that protection, the demon sees that. It's basically like the demon's looking for any way to get in. Once it gets in, then the difference between what Nelly is saying about narcissists to what I'm saying is that a dark soul is filled with demonic attachments and entities and all that, because that's where they all come from. If we have an attachment because you're with a dark soul, and that dark soul watches for your vulnerability, and it can send through something, and then all of a sudden now, the difference is you have a battle. So what I noticed was, when I was giving a healing session to a good soul, there was a battle going on. The battle of the soul against the demonic, the demon. So they were uncomfortable. A dark soul isn't uncomfortable with demonic energies. It's who they are. That's the difference. So in that case, Nelly, when you was with somebody, was that person fighting with themselves in the sense of that they were uncomfortable in their body because there was a battle going on? I would probably say not. The only battle they've got is fear of you finding out who they are. That's the only fear they've got. But if you have an attachment, your battle is, you can see it physically, mentally, and spiritually. You're fighting with it. You're going crazy. Was your partner Nelly going crazy? I would say not. Which to me only leads me to the conclusion that that's a dark soul. It's not a demon soul. Even if you're possessed, I've had clients who have been possessed with the darkest of demon. There is a battle that you've never seen. I can feel it inside. I've I've had one girl come to me at a London show who was carried by two of her brothers, and she had such a dark demonic possession that it bled. It basically sucked the life out of her that she couldn't even walk. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. After the healing session, she looked at me and just cried and gave me a hug. Was she led out by her brother, by her both brothers? No, she got up and walked out on her own. And till this day, I swear on my life, she said that I saved her life. And I said the same thing, that I left and I saved my life because I had the strength to leave. Because if I didn't, I would have died. And it always happens that way. You feel like you're going to die. So my point being is your narcissist that you were with, Nelly, did he feel like that? Did he go through any of that? No, he didn't. He enjoyed it. He loved it. He calculated. He was that's not a demonic possession. That is the soul of who you are. That's the soul of who he was. That's all I'm saying. And I say this as a healer, and I recognize this. So there is a difference. So, okay.
Interesting studies on demons, and I wanted to know very specifically what in spiritual and esoteric traditions, what they're actually saying about the nature of demons. I wanted to understand what is said about these dark forces, particularly the nature of how they think, act, and operate. And the results were absolutely extraordinary because as I went down the list, as we're going to look at very soon, there wasn't a single characteristic of a demonic entity that didn't perfectly describe narcissistic abuse and malignant narcissism.
Okay, so what she's saying there is that there was nothing that she studied with regards to spiritual demonic forces that didn't match up to the narcissist. That just answers that just confirms everything that I'm saying. That the narcissist is not a narcissist, but actually a dark soul is actually the very thing that she's saying that is attached to them. No, it's not attached to them. They are that. They come from that world.
It's incredibly plain to see. You don't have to force a square peg into a round hole. You don't have to twist the definitions just to make them match because it fits perfectly. But as always, my podcasts are not designed to convince anybody of anything. I'm making these very specifically for those that have dealt with a very dark leveled individual like a malignant narcissist or a dark tetrad person who through their own experience knows. Next trip, luxury hotel with a private.
Sorry about that.
Relax, don't sweat it. Agoda's great hotel. Who, through their own experience, knows very well that there is something spiritual about the nature of evil, regardless of what anybody else says. So in this episode, I want to share this list with you today of my findings into the nature of demonic entities and energies, so you can really see.
Hang on a sec. Can you hear it all? Is it loud enough for everybody?
Striking patterns for yourself, and you can make up your own mind. Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to my channel Awaken Survivor with Nelly. Nelly is the narcissist character of my comedy skits, and she used to be the main motive of this channel. So if you haven't seen my skits, then I'm going to put a link below in the video description. And on this channel we also look at the spiritual dimension of narcissistic abuse and narcissism. And if you do resonate with my content, it's usually because you feel like me, that psychology does not get fully and completely to the true heart of this matter, because the truth of the matter is ultimately non-psychological, but it's spiritual. And if you agree with that, then you're probably in the right place. If you appreciate this podcast today, then you can help me out by liking and sharing.
Well,
and
I am doing. That's exactly what I'm doing, Nelly.
To you today in the list, or unsurprising, or if it's helped you to understand something on a deeper level. Now, I want to be completely transparent with you. I'm not making this video. I don't say these things because I want to be offensive to anybody.
Hi, Brendan.
I'm not saying anything because I'm bitter and twisted about abuse that happened to me.
Hi, everybody.
I say this because it makes sense. This isn't a conclusion that has been jumped to without a considerable amount of analysis. Like many of you that dealt with a dark personality, a malignant narcissist, or a dark tetrad, I thought I was dealing with a person, a human being. But as time goes by, the more I am fully understanding that I was dealing with a person that is demon operated. And I know that that sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous to pretty much everybody who has not been involved in the same situation as me. I'm a very sensible, down-to-earth person. It's not like I'm very. And also, this doesn't have anything to do with a religious filter, because I'm not a religious person who's just looking at the world through a very specific lens. But what I've come to understand is by studying the nature of demons and using that framework in our understanding, we can actually be offered powerful insights into malignant narcissism, abuse, and the dark tetrad. Again, you don't have to make this fit, because it just does fit. And when I left the malignant narcissist, or just before I did, I saw the real face. There was this distinct moment when the narcissist wanted me to see it. And it was as if...
So, she's separating again between the body and an outside force that has taken over. And then she says that at the end of it, the demonic energy wanted to show itself. My experience personally is I saw it at the very beginning, right at the beginning, which freaked me out. At the end, I didn't see it. So I think everybody's different that way, and I believe it wasn't a demonic possession. I believe it was the actual soul of the being that shows itself. And spiritually speaking, I just want to explain this to you, how the two are similar from the light to the dark. So there's been times that I've experienced a good soul, and there was a brief second or moment that I saw something pure, you could say angelic, or something so out of this world that I saw the true you. I saw your soul. And I have on many occasions been at circles, been at retreats, been with individuals, been with groups that over the years, somebody would come up to me and just say to me, I just saw you. Something happened at such a point where I just saw you. It was like, I can't explain it, but I saw you. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I saw you. I saw the real you. And I can't explain it, but it was beautiful. With Dark Souls, you can get the same thing depending on what high they're at. So it could be sex, and if they're having whatever they were going for, that like that the body will then produce the real truth, and you can see it in their face or their eyes. They'll change color, dark, and you'll just freak out. You'll say, what was that? And it can be very brief. um and you can see the real soul. So it's on both sides, which I find very interesting as well. I just wanted to say that as a side note.
The narcissist was saying, I'm going to show you something that I have been hiding from you, but I want.
I disagree again with that. And I have to disagree. And that is, I think it's the opposite of what Nellie's saying. I think they can't help themselves by showing themselves, whether it's euphoria on a dark sense in that body, or whether it's a sense of knowing that they can't control it because they're gonna lose you, so that they then show themselves because it's a vulnerability that then kicks in their true self. I don't think they want to show themselves to us, because what's that going to do? Are we going to stay with them even more? That doesn't make sense. It's like why did I show my true self to somebody? I didn't do that. I was just doing the work, and at one moment somebody said, "You just changed. Something happened," and it was like a miracle that I saw, and I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember feeling joy at that moment. I really feel like whatever was coming out of my mouth, or whatever I felt, whether it, like a lot of people also will say that the spirit, like there is a kind of yin yang to it. Like sometimes when the spirit world comes close, and it is the spirit world, there is an also angelic energy that your clients can say, I felt this energy around you. So that there is that as well. But I also believe that dark souls, when they're in the moment where they know they're going to lose you, it's almost like a demonic soul who are always with them, they're always around them, will present themselves so that'll be even more powerful. That's kind of like where I am with that. But I don't think like, to me, it doesn't make any sense if my partner showed themselves as dark at the end. Do you think I'd want to stay even more? Do you think they did that to make me stay? So it wouldn't make any sense. I actually found that, when I left, like, like the letter that came through was like, oh, heal, and people are like, you just, no matter how you type, no matter what you say, something ain't right. So again, I would disagree if she came on the channel and say, I don't think that feels right to me. It never makes sense to me when I witness this with clients and stuff. So
You to know that it's there. And in that
but
moment, I
why?
was given.
Why do they want you to know that it's there, Nelly? Why? Why would they want you to know? Well, like, let me be the devil's advocate, so to speak. They want you to know because they want you to see themselves as their true colors. Well, are you going to stay now? No. They want you to know because they fear you. They're so frightened that you become so frightened that you will stay with them. What other reason? I can't think of any other reason. So again, that doesn't make sense to me. None at all. I think they've just like it's like like, whoa, whoa, they can't control themselves. There's the true self. Frigging hell, you know? And they probably didn't want to do that. But they just did because it's their nature, the true, like, now I know who you are. Now all them thoughts and feelings that I had, there it is. I knew it'd come out one day.
Straight into the human masquerade. And what I saw within this was not human. And it shocked me to my core. I've said it, I've spoken about it before, because I had no idea that anything like this even existed. I didn't.
So, Nelly, when you were with your partner, was there any time at all that you felt something was wrong? So they say that there's a love bomb, and it happens. It's true, love bomb. That's the psychology behind things. It's called a love bomb. They come and just tell you, you are the best. Everything that you do, you are a god. You are amazing. And like, did you know inside your soul that your soul said, some people talk and say nothing, and some people say nothing and share everything. You can feel everything. I can honestly say that for me, the love bomb happened. It was weird. It was like going over and above doing things that just was fucking weird. And you're like, this is weird. This is weird. I ask Nelly, did you ever feel that? In the time that you were being love bombed, did you just go, did you do that, Matt? No, I didn't. Did it make you feel good? No, there was a battle between, like, this is weird. This, like, they're saying all these nice things, but why am I not feeling it? My brain was like, yeah, yeah, oh, that's nice. My brain was, oh, yeah, but where was the feeling? There wasn't. There's no feeling behind it.
Even demons before that day. But suddenly, in a flash, I understood it all. And what was truly terrifying is when this was shown to me, the narcissist took absolute pleasure in knowing that nobody else knew it or would believe it. So I've been double whammied. To know it exists, number one, but not be able to speak about it to anybody because they're going to think.
Okay, I have a completely different take to that because I think the Dark Souls fear is they don't want to be revealed. So they do everything they can to manipulate every single situation. Do I think Narcissists or Dark Souls have pleasure in knowing that you know them and nobody else knows who they are? It's a great question. I'm still I'm still on the fence with that because at the end of the day, the narcissist's greatest fear is for you to know who they are because once they do, you're gonna go. So, do you think a narcissist gets pleasure or a dark soul gets pleasure when you've figured out who they are and then you've gone? I don't think so. So, again, I would sway on the side of that they don't get pleasure out of it, but I do understand what Nellie's saying is that it is a form of feeding from you. So it's like if you get an attachment, the attachment wants to cause you as much pain as suffering so that you feed the attachment, but not so much that you will end up killing yourself because then they've lost that energy to feed. So, yes, I felt that my narcissist was enjoying the manipulation, but to a degree that I was confused. Are they manipulating me or not? Why am I feeling like this? It was like He knows something wrong. He knows something's wrong, but he doesn't know why. And I'm loving this because of the manipulation. I hope I'm not going too deep, but this is kind of like I just I want to go deep into this because it's important.
That you are personally insane. And I saw the smoke for only me to see
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
the
I
pits
agree with
over
that.
the.
I agree with that. What they try to do is for you to go insane with yourself, so that you have an internal battle with you. So they are the cause of your suffering. But what they're doing is they're triggering you all the time to suffer. And that's how they feed from you. And that's how they steal from you. And that's how they manipulate you. And that's how they want to take over your life. And that basically is their journey. Your journey is to love somebody, protect them, take care of them, not see them sad or upset. And if they're happy, you feel proud that they're happy because you know, well, that you're doing something right because they're happy, they're joyful. Well, if you're a dark soul, what your aim is to do is cause the most chaos to that person because you're loving it. But you don't want them to know why that chaos is there. That's why they're so manipulating in the way that triggers you to get you all confused, right? You know, when somebody smiles at you and talks to you, a stranger, and says stuff, and you go, something ain't right here. They're saying all the right things, but something in their eyes, something, there's an invisible force that something's missing, and I know something's wrong here. And it's like you turn your back and you think, that person does not like me. But they never said anything. They never mentioned anything that they didn't like about me. They didn't say anything that made me think differently. But I feel that there is a hate or a jealousy or a something. I can just feel it. Our souls always know. And that's the battle when we are with a dark soul.
Were clueless, and that's when I knew this was real evil. But that flash, that moment of real reality that I witnessed, changed everything for me because I understood what I had been participating in all along without knowledge. I understood why the stronghold was so powerful.
Again, I don't believe that she didn't have knowledge. I think she had she might not have had experience, but knowledge she has. And if I stopped her there and said, honestly, was there any point in that relationship that you felt there was something wrong? If she would say yes, then you did have the knowledge. You did listen to your soul. You did know something was wrong. So again, I just slightly disagree on that point. I think we all know that we're with somebody that something's very wrong. But the difference is that we do everything we can to try and help because we've been programmed to believe that we are all in the image of God and we're all the same. And, you know, you can be good or bad, and evil is just an outside presence. No, I'm sorry. I completely disagree. I think if you are, and if you're from a dark world, a dark soul, you will always be that dark soul. That's why I always say you can't change somebody's essence. You can't change their spirit. You can't change their soul, no matter what is said, because their soul comes from a different world than you. It's like you trying to make me evil. How are you going to do that? You might beat me. You might lie to me. You might tell me all bad things about certain people and certain things. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to love and want to forgive and want to help and want to see through it. And like, no, that doesn't make any sense. At my point of baseline is love, kindness. Ain't going to happen. Just like I can't take a dark soul and say, here, take this money. Here, let me help you. Let me do this. Let me do everything for you. It's not enough. It's never enough because their baseline is darkness.
Over me, and why it was such an agonizing struggle to break free. And it's because it wasn't just a human psychological or emotional manipulation. There were other forces at play. And the way that these forces keep their power is in hiding. And in you never coming to the full awareness of what you're actually dealing with. So they hide behind the human.
Again, I disagree. I think you always knew what you were dealing with. If you are a good soul, you've always known what you're dealing with. No matter who, wherever you go, whatever's not said, whatever is said to you, which is a good one, which for me it was like, you will figure this out yourself. You'll figure it out yourself. You'll figure it out yourself. And all the times that you say, no, no, they're a good person, they're a good person. Like, when else? In your relationship, did you ever have to justify before you even meet somebody or you've met them that they're a good soul? This is your soul trying to help, and everybody's going,
because they can. It is so easy. This isn't something that people readily accept. If you have loved somebody or you felt like you loved somebody who didn't actually exist, obviously you have a deep attachment to them. You want to believe they love you. You want to believe that they are real. You never want to think of them as someone who is a demon operated person, because that is simply too much for the human mind to bear. But
I'm not so sure about love when it comes to being with a dark soul. I'm sorry, Nelly, but I love, when you're with a dark soul, love, what I would question, what do you mean by love? I think what I'm hearing is you want to be appreciated, you want to be recognized, you want support and comfort. But love, a dark soul, love, I'm sorry, they're incapable of loving. They don't know what love is. Love is where we come from. Where they come from is low, dark energy. The only thing that you can possibly measure it with is the moments where you give them something, where they take something from you, or yeah, like, and then they feel great for a few seconds, and then they're back to their baseline again.
over time, as I stepped back, this reality became undeniably clear to me. This was shown to me time and time and time again, until I had no choice but to face it. So, without further ado, let's look at the baseline of this. And I want to share with you the 9 traits that narcissists and demons have in common. And again, the purpose of this is to be useful for survivors.
So really, isn't she, without realizing, isn't she backing up what I'm saying? If you just took the separation away, she's just said, look, a narcissist is the same as a demon because here's the trait marks. And I'm going, yeah, exactly, Nelly. Are you not missing it? Are you not seeing the point? A narcissist isn't a narcissist. It's a dark soul. It's a demon. It's an entity. It's an attachment. They come from the same place. They're not separate. So what she's doing is actually backing up what I'm saying by what's going to be said now, because it is the nature of what she says is a narcissist. No, the nature of it is a dark soul, and you're going to confirm it now. So I'm going to say to you, there's no such thing as a narcissist. It's a dark soul, and here's why.
If you can only perform when the deadline is on fire,
Here are 3 things that will Sorry. Useful for survivors. So the first trait and crossover, the similarity between demonic entities by nature and narcissists by nature, is the counterfeit identity, otherwise known as the angel of light. So in almost every single major spiritual tradition, demons operate through illusions, and they mimic things that are safe or even spiritual.
So when you're with a dark soul, they have no real, they can't create. So what they do is they spend all their time observing, watching, studying. They're super genius. They're always super genius just means that they've got a very, very good memory. So they're memorizing everything, and then they come across as geniuses. But when you look and you watch them and you study them, you realize that all they're doing is copying and mimicking everything. Nothing that comes from them is their own truth. And you can feel like that. And actually, the proof is no matter what they do, no matter what they say and where they go, people go, I didn't feel that. Sorry, I just don't feel it. I don't feel that. Whereas you, people feel you. Go, yeah, I felt that. Even when you say something stupid or wrong, they go, no, no, I felt that. I know what you meant. I felt it. But when they're so manipulated and so accurate about everything, something doesn't feel right. Something's wrong here. And that is because they're regurgitating information. They've stolen it and using it as their own. Nothing is genuine or truthful or from their core, because they can't share that with you, because their core of a dark soul is going to be not nice if they show them their true self. And that's why they're hiding all the time. They're covering themselves and showing you as a different light. And I'm a beautiful soul, and listen to what I'm saying. You know, something's not right.
And holy, depending on obviously the leanings of the target, or they mimic what is comforting to a person. And why would they do that? Because they need an access point. They're looking for you to let them in. If you remember the mythology of the vampire, they need an invitation into your home. Well, the vampire is a demon, and this is exactly the same thing. Demons need your consent for their entry. So that in vampire mythology is absolutely correct.
We're right at the same place, Nelly. We're right at the same place. The only thing is, what's separating our conversation is that you're saying that the narcissist has been taken over by a demon. And all I'm saying, Nelly, is no, the narcissist is the demon. That's the only difference here. That's just the last point that we need to I think about all of that. Once we realize that, we see the world completely different.
They're not just looking to enter your life, though. They're looking to enter you. And I'm not talking about a possession here, just to make that clear. But they want to be so close to you that they become that voice in your head. And they do it in order to be in control of you. They need deep access to your brain, body, your nervous system, so that
So what she's encountering there is on a level of day to day. What I believe is that they want to feed. They want to feed. They want you. What they're doing is they're breaking you down in a sense of taking over. You see, the only thing you've got in this world as a good soul is your freedom. And freedom doesn't mean walking around and doing what you want, but freedom means up here, in here. What they're trying to do is break you down so you become a prisoner in your own body. And what happens then, and this is how dark souls function, like she's saying, the vampire, they feed from the stress. So what that means is that if you're joyful and happy and you say, "Oh, I've got a friend coming around." "Oh, yeah. Who is it? Or somebody came round the other day and, well, why don't you ever ask me? Why is it that they came round when I'm not there? And everything that you do and everything that you say, well, hang on a minute, you went to visit a friend. Did I say, well, why didn't you invite me? Why wasn't I there? Why didn't you tell me? This is the mind mess. And before you know it, from the mind causes confusion. They know this. They confuse you so that you start to battle. That internal battle runs down to your heart. And what happens then is that battle then is changing the frequency because you're trying to figure out what is wrong with this person at the same time as they're smiling and saying, no, no, there's nothing wrong with me. It's kind of like it's your fault. And then you start questioning yourself in your mind all the time, and you start to like get all of it. Like, soon as you open that door, then from the dark world enters entities that are all around them and all with them all the time. That's their world. So we receive this, and then what happens is they start feeding, and the person that you're with is a dark soul, is loving that you are confused, that you're angry, that you knee jerk, and then they say, "Are you? What's wrong with you? Why are you like this? You need to think about the way you are. This." And more they do this, because that's what dark souls do. They know exactly how to manipulate, but they're manipulating for a reason. And that reason is to change your frequency and change your heart from positive to negative. And soon as you live your life then in a negative energy, your body breaks down and starts to die, which is what they want as well, because they're trying to take over everything. They're trying to take over your business. They're trying to take over your wealth. They're trying to take over your this isn't ego. They're trying to take over all your followers, friends. They're trying to take over everything. So eventually, when you've broken down, they just step into that life.
They can take you over. Again, it's not a possession, but it's a poison. And in order to infiltrate your being, they need to lower your defenses. So they're not going to come to you, obviously, as they truly are, and reveal what they're truly going to do, because any target is going to run a mile. Instead, they're going to appear as an angel of light, meaning a good friend, if it's a friend, a spiritual virtuous figure, somebody of authority perhaps, or someone that deeply cares and loves you. So this is tailor-made to be the image of somebody that you feel safe with, and they know what that is. And that is how a demon operates. Now, you may be confused. I didn't just describe a narcissist. I was speaking about the nature of a demon. But probably you're going to notice this is the exact same blueprint of the love bombing phase in narcissistic abuse. A malignant narcissist doesn't show up showing their true face or announcing how they wish to destroy your life. Instead, they mirror your soul.
Here's the secret to getting better results from Suno. Number 1, be specific. Don't just try
how they wish to destroy your life. Instead, they mirror your soul. They pretend to share your values. And sometimes they will play a deeply misunderstood victim. So you are going to open an energetic door to them.
And also, whenever you're dealing with a dark soul, you know that they've got a dark past, a dark childhood. They're always going to tell you that they're misunderstood, just like sometimes we are. But so are they, because people don't understand them, just like they don't understand us. That doesn't make us bad, but they'll show you who. And you'll always find with the dark soul is that they'll never, ever tell you their true path and what they've been through. What they will do is give you little hints whereby that you will start to feel sorry for them. But actually, if you look at their past, you're going to be bloody shocked. You're going to be bloody shocked. When you start to do some research and start to dig up who they are and what they've done, never told me that. They never mentioned that. It made me feel like, oh, the poor victim, the poor person. Every one of them.
Particularly from your heart and empathy. So the mask to a narcissist of any kind is everything. Without the mask, they can't be successful in their manipulation. Which brings me on to the next trait. Because the second trait and similarity between a demon and a narcissist is the core nature of deception and distortion. The fundamental defining characteristic of a demonic entity is falsehood. They're described not as creators, but as distorters. So they cannot create anything beautiful or true. So they're going to take what already exists and they twist it. And that is their
Mimicking.
fundamental nature and desire to
They will
distort reality and
yeah,
twist the truth.
they will use everything they can in a way that is going to cause you suffering, but they're also going to use everything they can to manipulate you into doing what they're bidding. I'll give you a great example. I've met many Dark Souls, and one of the trademarks is never to tell you what they want, but to get what they want. So they'll never say, "Do you know, would you take me? So would you give me that?" And what they will do is that, "Oh, I'd love to go there one day. Oh, you know, I'd, I'd die for one of them. Here you go. Get in the car. Come on, let's go."
So that you don't know what truth is. And let's be clear, truth is a divine aspect. Truth is godly. Truth is the source of life. It is love-based.
No, truth is what is called a good soul. When we deceive because we think it's a good thing to do at the time because we don't want to upset somebody, it doesn't feel right. When we say the truth, it's not a release and you don't feel better. You're just saying what your soul wants to say. That's why being on social media is like we're fighting, and the darkness is making sure that we'll never speak the truth. Because if we do, we're going to get punished. So we're always struggling with our voice. We're always struggling with, phlegm, and we're struggling with here. We're struggling because darkness is always stopping us and suppressing us. The system makes us never tell the truth. And we, as good souls, struggle with that every day. But when we do say the truth, we are beat for it. We are suppressed for it. So it's harder and harder for a good soul to tell the truth. It's just something that we need to be aware of. A dark soul is doing exactly what a dark soul does. It doesn't get beat on the internet for it. It doesn't get beat by social media. It doesn't get whipped and mocked and ridiculed by the system and teachers and by corporate. Why? Because darkness lies all the time. Dark souls lie all the time. They're rewarded for it. That's why they can. This is their trick. They're tricking you all the time because that's who they are. That's what they do. That's where they come from. That's the difference. They're in their heaven here because everything that they're doing is exactly who they are.
But lies and deception are inherent to the nature of evil that oppose all of that which is love and truth, which is the spiritual source. And the biggest thing that...
That's why when you're with a dark soul, they'll say something like, yeah, they like to trigger you because they feed from that. And like, oh, I've done it again. I've got triggered again. Why is this always, why we shouldn't be together? Oh, let me type that down. Or I'd send a message saying this is fucked up. Everything's fucked up. It's all wrong. We shouldn't be together. You're sending me crazy. You're. Let me screenshot all of these things. You're not a good person, are you? Let me save all of these things for one day so I'll be able to get at you and use it against you. Hang on a minute. This just doesn't. This isn't right. What you're doing isn't right. I can feel this isn't. You're battling against the invisible energy of what their true intent is 24/7. You can see beyond what the masquerade, what the acting is, because you can feel what's going on. And it's 24 hours manipulation. 24 hours. Imagine being in that energy. No wonder you want to run away. No wonder you're dying. When you're with a good soul, like I was for 20 years, you flourish, you grow, you feel free. There's just like, all right, you might have a silly argument here and there because I like that, whatever, and you don't like, but I'm talking about the feeling of being with a dark soul is like, it's like you are dying inside.
Demons want to keep you away from is the truth of yourself. It's the truth of who you truly are. So they distort your own perception also of yourself. They will aim to disconnect you from the truth.
They don't distort your perception at all. I'm sorry, I have to disagree because I'm talking about spiritually. What they try and do is distort your brain, but your soul knows always. When you ask somebody who's been in a relationship with a dark soul, they'll always say, "I always knew." They try and mess the head, which is the program.
You are a being of light. They want you to forget the source of your own spiritual nature, so they need to twist your life.
It's not that they want you to know the source of your energy, which kind of makes sense. What they want to do is take that source of energy and manipulate it to a negative energy so that they feed from it and you get weaker and sicker and more controlled.
With so many lies, and then you start believing those lies and adopting them as your truth. And just as
No, you don't believe them because you question them all the time, Nelly. You question them all the time, no matter what you're saying. If you are a good soul and you have a soul, you question all the time. Like, I'd like to go here. I'd like to do this. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, what for? Because I like, now that doesn't feel right. You don't want to go there for what you've just said. You're going there for something else. I can't explain it, but something else. Whatever it is, if you are a good soul, your soul knows. And that is the battle. The battle is you're trying to understand what it is. And the fact that you are kind and loving and caring is the baseline of you saying, I measure myself with everything that they are. Which means if I can't do that and I wouldn't do it, there's no way they're going to do it. It's the battle.
narcissistic abuse works, narcissists are complete liars. The more malignant they get, the more entrenched in lies they are.
Actually, that's also not true. What they will do is they will. No, she's right, actually, because even when they're saying something that isn't a lie, it's a lie because they are a dark soul and they don't mean what they've just said. That's why when they say beautiful things, you go, that's a lie. The reason why you say that's a lie or something's not right is because their true soul, their dark soul, doesn't want to say that. It's just saying it to appease and to make everybody believe, right?
Those lies, they start to fill up your head until they become your reality. Then you don't know which way is up or down.
She's right. Nellie's right. You end up being so confused because your battle is internal. Your battle is not with them, it's with yourself. And you guys know this if you've been in that relationship. It's never with them. Never with them. They just put the dark seed. It's like me giving a healing session to you. I'm going to put a seed into your soul, and you either nurture it or you don't. Dark souls have that same gift as putting a seed in you, but it's dark and you're fighting with it. You're trying to, is this real? Is it not real? It's weird. And the more you do that, the more that you nurture that dark energy, the more that you focus, like when you say you focus on something negative, it grows. It's the same thing. You're battling with yourself. That they just know how to plant their dark seeds in there so that they grow all the time. And that's the internal battle that we go through to the point where we realize, okay, I've exhausted everything. I've gifted, I've been kind, I've gone out of my way. And this person this isn't normal. That is not normal. That is not who I am. That is not me. That is not from my home world. That is a different soul. And we do come to that point. I think we do. I mean, some people do die. Some people don't come to that because they're so loving and kind and they don't want to cause pain and issue. Because always darkness is always manipulating all the time. What are you gonna? Why are you being like this? Or to the point where you're saying, I'm just going, no, I'm going to kill myself. I'm just going to kill myself. Oh my God, they're going to kill themselves. They're going to kill. Oh my God, what would happen? What would people think about me? Manipulation. When somebody tells you they're going to kill themselves, they don't. It's just darkness doing what it does.
And they purposely distort your vision of reality so you can't see who they are and you also can't see who you are. Instead, you're just trained to believe everything that they tell you.
Okay, I've got to say this, right? I've got to disagree again because the whole time of being with a narcissist, you are not yourself. Now, changing and distorting you by way of them doing that, like I don't know what she said there, but like I just feel like I want to say to Nellie, no, we always knew. It's not a distortion. Let me just 11:42, 11:42, 11:42. Let me just listen to that again.
And deception are inherent to the nature of evil that oppose all of that which is love and truth, which is the spiritual source. And the biggest thing that demons want to keep you away from is the truth of yourself. It's the truth of who you truly are. So they distort your own perception also of yourself. They will aim to disconnect you from the truth that you are a being of light. They want you to forget the source of your own spiritual nature. So they need to twist your life with so many lies. And then you start believing those lies.
No, we don't believe them. We don't believe them. We've never believed them. We've never believed them. Come on, be honest. Did you believe them? No, I didn't. I always knew it was a lie. I knew it was always a lie, but I can't believe that a soul can do that and can be like that. And that is what we're trying to break through. We're trying to break through the fact that there's people out there that are beings that are dark and do what they do. That's it. That's what I say.
Adopting them as your truth. And
No, it
just
was
as
never my
narcissistic
truth.
abuse works, narcissists are complete lie.
When you're with somebody and you're trying to say that this person's nice, they look at you and smile and go, yeah, whatever. Why? Because they know what you're saying isn't the truth. And you are speaking a lie. You are saying, no, they're really nice. No, we why would you even need to say that? Because I know it's not true. So I'm trying to reaffirm and confirm that it's honestly, why would you need to do that? So really, your soul always knew, Nellie. Your soul always knew.
The more malignant they get, the more entrenched in lies they are. And those lies, they start to fill up your head until they become your reality. Then you don't know which way is up or down. And they purposely distort your vision of reality so you can't see who they are.
I keep saying that what you're saying is what I think I'd like to say to Nelly is, no, Nelly, what they're trying to do is that, and they never actually truly succeed doing that. That's why we've always got an internal battle, because deep down our soul is always telling us, hello, Mark, anybody in there, McFly? Do you not see what's happening? And I'm like, oh, your soul is saying to the body and the brain, this isn't right. This isn't right. No, that's not right. And your brain is so like stubborn, like a mule, that it can fix and it can help, and it like, because it comes from the soul, it comes from your soul. Internal battle, guys.
And you also can't see who you are. Instead, you're
Yeah, you have lost your light. And what happens is you become like, with all this confusion and this battle, you start to end up in a kind of spell, and you go dark under your eyes. That's because you're tired. You can't hear properly because you can't stand what you're hearing. Your literally stomach is in pain because you can't stand what you're going through. Your heart is like, it's just, it's getting so weak because it's being drained. You are literally dying, dying. And that is truth. That is truth.
trained to believe everything that they tell you. A narcissist also has no authentic core self. So they are truthless.
Darkness, narcissists, dark souls absolutely have a core truth, and they are authentic, but they never show you that core truth, which is dark, and that authenticness, which is what they'd like to say and do to people.
They cannot generate their own love, their own identity. There's no light.
It's true.
So they copy yours. Then through gaslighting, they're going to take your reality, your goodness.
They can't copy light. What they can do is mimic you. That's all they can do. And if you're ever with a narcissist or a dark soul, whatever you would like, I'm trying to build a bridge, Nelly, between you and me. And that bridge is, it's not a narcissist. It's a dark soul. It was born a dark soul, and it will always be a dark soul. That's what I'm trying to bridge here. And no matter what happens, it will always try to steal and mimic, but it never works. It's always unauthentic because it's not the nature of its soul.
And your memories, and they distort them until you don't know what's real anymore. And if you're wondering why they do this, it serves.
The amount of times I drove away and had an internal battle with an entity, because when you are with a dark soul, you normally find there's a lot of dark phenomena that happens. Bad dreams, which they're not dreams, they're dark souls in the room. You're always hearing spirit, but you don't know who they are, like to the point where, like, yeah, I don't know what that is. That's normally your soul saying you don't want to be involved with whatever's in the room. A lot of the times you'll try and avoid it and say, I don't know, or I don't know what it is. And you sometimes just say things just for the sake of it. But driving away in the car or being in a quiet place, contemplating, at the point where you should be the most happiest away from that, there's an internal battle of a dark entity that continues the work. So you get attachments. You get a lot of attachments, and then you clear them at work, or you clear them at some point, and then you go back to that relationship, and you don't want to go back. You know what I mean? You're at work thinking it's 6 o'clock, I have to go back. It's fucking awful. And you go back, and then it starts again. You can feel it. You're already knowing it's going to, because your soul is telling you, Don't go back. Yeah, but I must. I'm in a relationship. No, don't go back. You go back and, oh my God, get your bag and you leave again. You're gone because as soon as you come in, it starts again. You grab your bag and you leave. Why did I even go back? And then it comes back again. The demon comes, but the little entities and attachments come back again. So you're driving away, going crazy. It literally is. I can't explain this. It's an invasion. It is a test. It is the most powerful test you will ever have to go through in your life. Let me tell you guys, I have had attachments which have been like entities, demonic. I've had attachments which are trapped souls that have stuck to me. They're easy to clean off, guys. They're easy to clean off. You can have a healer that can clean it off, or you can sage yourself and it's gone. But when you live with a dark soul, it's there all the time. It's there all the time.
Two main purposes. The first is gaslighting makes you feel like you're going crazy. It makes you feel very unstable and often reactive. And this is enough to destroy a person. But inside a week,
you know, when you're with a dark soul, they're never going to say something that makes you say, ah, I knew it. I've caught you. Because a dark soul is highly intelligent. You normally, I've found this out since leaving my relationship, that many people sent me messages saying, it's like you're in a courtroom and you are the defense, and they are, or you are they're the prosecutor and you're the defense, and it's like you're talking to somebody who should be a high level lawyer who has the answer to everything. You've got an answer for everything. And actually, when you look at it, it's like, there's truth in that. Factually. But boy, you are a deceiver and a liar. You should be a barrister. You should be in a court of law defending evil. Because you've got the answers that will make the NPCs believe everything you say. But you know what? When you're a good soul, you see through that.
stay when you're away from truth.
Being a nice person who's good at their job is
Nelly, don't have too many adverts. Just have one at the start and at the beginning.
From truth. The narcissist is able to take
Or
power
not.
over you.
Do what you want.
As long as you're believing their lies and distortions, you'll be disconnected from yourself and you'll be disempowered and handing your power away to them. The third trait of the nature of demons, fully 100% connected to narcissists, is traditional demonology views these kinds of entities as highly legalistic. So what I mean here is they look for loopholes.
It's exactly what I was at. Sorry, I haven't listened to all of this. I only listened to about the first 5 minutes of it. So again, I'm excited because she's right. She's absolutely right. I tell you, I am so close to every, normally I'm like, yeah, I'm so close to this lady of what she's saying. Honestly, they look for loopholes. They're so freaking manipulating. They've got the answer to everything. No matter what you say, they've got an answer for it. Sends you crazy. Yeah, maybe she's right. You're driving. She's not. She's right, but she's not right.
Spoken consent from you. I've made another video about this. I'm going to link it below and at the end. They're looking for unhealed trauma and open doors, like old resentments or spiritual compromises. And they're doing this to...
What it is, Nelly, is that dark souls are always looking for ways of trauma. They're looking for the trauma, because if you can find that trauma, it can it can be an advantage that you can manipulate. So she's right, totally. Always looking for, where can I get in there? A bit like a guy coming to your house and saying, oh dear, look at that little bit of, crack in the wall. Oh, that crack's really bad. Really? Why? Because that crack shows that the foundations are really bad. And it's because of the ground that what we need to do is fix the ground. So, what do I need to do? I'll tell you what we need to do.
Gain a foothold into a person's life or environment. Now remember, they need an access point, and this is exactly how they get in. Demons, they can get into people's lives, and they get a foothold in so many ways. Now one is sending a malignant narcissist to you, and another is through drugs, alcohol, and pornography. These are ways that people can lower their vibrations, and these things are all highly addictive. Again, it's a way to control people. If you can keep them coming back and...
First of all, I would disagree with that. If you're with an a dark soul, it's not really like they're trying to throw you into the darkness with alcohol and drugs. I don't, I've never seen that before. I'd kind of struggle with that. But obviously to a point of, if this to me is more, I've always felt that this is an outside influence rather than a partner, but an outside influence of the actual darkness that is around us. So the triggers that we go through in life make us weaker, in the sense of all the bad stuff that happens to us, like our dad beating us, the school system doing what they do, everybody and eventually, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying eventually that there could come a point where, if you start drinking alcohol, because of all of the system program deliberately doing this, because it leads you to, first of all, sickness. It leads you to fast food. It leads you to the bottle. It leads you to, tablets to be taken, whether it's a man in a white coat or not. It leads you to a certain place where, that point, then you open yourself up to entity attachment, because your beautiful life force, chi prana, basically weakens and they come straight in. So then you feed the very darkness that we speak of. But being with a dark soul, they're feeding from you in a different way. So they're feeding from you direct. So they don't need you to get drunk. They're already feeding from your energy because they're manipulating you.
keep them in lower states of vibrational level, then they can be reached and they can be worked on by lower forces. And of course, narcissistic relationships, I should say, dynamics or entanglements rather, are highly addictive. So where you have these addictions, you have these lower energies all around, feeding and having a heyday. Narcissists hunt exactly the same way.
Yeah, sorry guys, she's right. I didn't listen to the rest of it. Totally agree with her.
Targets childhood wounds, all the vulnerabilities, and all the empathy. And they use your own conscience as an emotional loophole, manipulating you into lowering your boundaries and handing over implicit consent to let them mistreat you. And it can be a...
No, you don't hand over that. No, you don't hand it over. You don't hand it over at all. It's a constant battle. I must be in a different relationship from what she was in, but you don't hand it over. You do things that on hindsight, you look back and think, I shouldn't have done that. And you knew you shouldn't have done it because your soul told you not to do it. Did I ever hand over anything? No. I always thought things were a good idea. When you made a conscious decision, there's sort of obviously they're always going to be a good ideas and wonderful things, and you think, yeah, this is great and all that, and then you kind of look at it and back and you think, yeah, it was, but it actually what there's always a question mark to everything that you or they ever did. Always. It's never been like that was it. That was never.
Highly demonic operation, and many people that have never met a dark tetrad individual or a malignant
Okay, hang
narcissist.
on. Dark tetrite individual. A dark tetrite. I don't even know what that means. We might be on the same page here because I haven't even heard her say that before. Dark tetrite, whatever she just said. And then she said a narcissist. Maybe she is saying the same thing as me. Maybe she is saying that they are a dark soul. It's just that you said that it was a demonic walking. It was a demonic attachment. So I'm a little bit confused by what she's saying, and that's why I'd love to talk to her about it.
Is always totally dumbfounded how somebody can get so manipulated into handing somebody else full control over their life, even when it's so damaging to them. And they usually
Actually, this is the manipulation of a dark soul. What they do is they look for ways to infiltrate your life, your clothes, in the sense of to be you, to mimic you, and to take. So what they do is look for ways that they're always deceiving, in the sense of, well, how can I do this? What is the best way? Basically the easiest way to take over everything. How can I do it and make them want me to do it? So like I said, oh, I'd love to go for a drive today. Oh, sure, I can do it. I'd love to be able to help you with this business and and just make it grow and be a mate. Okay, I'll make you a partner. It's clever. It's clever. So clever.
think from the outside, if they've never been through this, that is down to naivety or stupidity on the part of the victim. They just don't understand how masterfully.
It's true. She's very, very, they are masters of a manipulation, are dark souls.
They just don't understand how masterfully these dark individuals infiltrate a person's inner world through mapping their trauma.
So
And
true.
also how convincing and persuasive.
I don't know if I'm going off on one here, slightly a different conversation, but there's somebody on the internet who is, let's say, one of the most leading experts on truth. And this person talks about, I will never say who it is, by the way, and this is coming secondhand from the person that was with them. Basically, they were together and had a relationship. And this person told me, and I said, wow, I'd love to be able to share that story. And they said, yeah, share it, but don't say who it is. And I'm like, no, I would never do that. And they said, but yeah, share the story because it's really important. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So this person who is on the internet now talks every day, and he's got, like, my following is, you're all beautiful, you're amazing, but my following is, in the sense of how many, I don't give a shit, but their following is massive. The people who listen to them are fucking tons and tons, right? Me, few hundred. Who's on? 100 people. I don't care. I love you all. And that's all I want on. I don't want thousands. I don't want that shit. But I'm just telling you, they are amazing at talk. They go to all the big shows. They're always invited as guest speakers on what's called, what do they call them? Summits, where there's 7 speakers. They get called to the biggest events, okay? This person went to Ireland. Never told anybody went to Ireland, but told the girl that was with him. And he was invited by a group. And because they, the dark souls as they are, manipulated him, knowing that he was lonely, they invited him over, paid for his expenses at the pub that he was staying in, and he was invited to a night out. And the night out was, what he didn't realize was, a coven. And what he didn't realize is that these are dark souls and they're about to do a satanic ritual. And because he was in this ritual, and because they were all saying he's wonderful and amazing, and they were all doing the same thing as a narcissist, love bombing. It's not love bombing. They're basically they're sending a kind of spell, and he fell for it, and he ended up doing something in the center with somebody. And once he did what he did with a woman, they took him in a car and they dumped him on a road. They basically said, open the door, get out, shut the door, and drove off. Never even took him to the pub where he was meant to be staying. He had to walk all the way home as shame. So they stole his light. They basically did what darkness does. They've basically fractured him. They've basically snapped him. They've done something to him that I guess it's a kick. I guess it's the joy what they get from doing it. That it's a power kind of thing. And now he gives talks still. And I guess nobody would ever notice, but I do. I see it. When you are in a dark relationship with somebody, it's the same. You lose your face, you lose your energy, you look like Lord of the Rings, the king, that there is a monster at the sound of them, always in their ear. That's the dark soul telling them, and they just quiver and end up like this. And then when Gandalf comes and then gets rid of Wormtongue, that's the dark soul. That's basically that is really part of life. That's what happens to good souls. And then you have no power, and just boom, it's gone. And then he wakes up and his face changes, just like what happened to me. And I'm living proof of it. You can look at me now and look back on my videos for the past 8 years. I was in an internal battle. And I did everything to try and still help people, to be kind, to be caring. I still believed in my soul. I believed in good. I believe I could, but I was fighting with the internal battle of a narcissist, a dark soul, and all the other dark souls in this world. It affects us. It affects us in one way or another. I mean, my story is completely different. I've been celibate for 9 years because I couldn't even touch. I couldn't even, like, people go, what? I'm like, yeah, just once, never again. Never again. Never, never, never. Not sleep, not just get away, running away. And when you look back and you think what you've done for those 8 years, your sacrifice, your internal battle, you have no idea. It is probably one of the most powerful experiences that we have to go through, and you'll never understand it. From an outside point of view, if you've never been through it, you'll never understand it. Never. You might think, wow, that's mad. I would never do that. I would never be in a relation. Like, what? Really? What was the point? It's like, you have no idea of what the internal battle in you is, because the goodness and the kindness is always doing everything to try and create and make love, in the sense of make that person happy and joyful and bring and change that person to be a good one. Eventually you realize you're going to die and you ain't going to win. You ain't gonna win no matter how stubborn you are to make somebody better. You've been a healer all your life, Mark, in the sense of you've always wanted to do good, and you became a healer at 38 and you worked on everybody and you just always believed in what you did. And no matter what darkness or evil is attached to this person, you know that light always conquers dark and you will bring the light back into them. But when you live with a dark soul, only then you truly understand what this planet is, who lives on this planet, and who resides in these bodies, and who is a body that there is no soul, or there is a body that is a good soul that you've worked on all your life with all your clients, and then you're with a dark soul. I'm sorry, guys. You don't know unless you are there.
Persuasive these people are. And it's my belief that they're all of these things: convincing, persuasive. They have a power because they have dark forces working through them, and they are experts in mind control. But I don't want to scare anybody, because their power only lies in when their little game is hidden and unknown to the one that they're deceiving. And that's why they want to keep their victims completely in the dark, and instead convinced that the demon operated vessel, that's the narcissist, loves and cares for them and wishes.
Yeah, you normally find what happens when you're with a dark soul is that they do everything they can to separate you from everybody. Everybody. They want to know everything that you're doing. They want to know 9 to 5, then from 5 till 12 at night. And they want to know everything because they want to control everything. So, what that means is when you say the right thing, they will reward you in, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's so kind and caring. And when you say the wrong thing, like, yeah, I think it's important for me to help my daughter and you know, one day she'll take over the, why would you do that? She can take care of herself. What about me? What about me? Like, hang on a minute. So uh, when I talked about looking after my first wife and giving her the house, and second wife when we split up, giving her the house, oh, that's all okay. But now when I'm saying I want to give the same thing away to my daughter, that's not right. You start to go crazy in your head, guys. You see the manipulation? They want to take over your world.
Them the best, which they clearly don't. And they work on the premise of, this is the best for you.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Trust
Just
me.
do as I say.
Yeah.
And when you go
True.
along willingly, they're absolutely fine, obviously. But it's the moment that you start challenging them, that's when the demon becomes more visible, because that is when you see that your safety becomes compromised.
I didn't see that, and I don't see that. I don't see that. You see them more when you start to basically find the power to say no and start to override the brain, and your soul becomes stronger and saying, no, I see straight through all of this, and I start to listen to my soul now, and my soul is more important than fighting in my brain. So now I've cut my brain off and I know what I need to do. I don't see that I saw the demon come out. I don't know. I'm sorry, didn't see that. So I think we all have a different experience.
When you refuse to blindly follow their program, then it's a real battle to get out, and you have to navigate that very, very carefully. The other thing,
what I find is that navigating out very carefully is basically lying. You have to end up lying yourself because you can't be truthful, because if you're truthful, they're gonna figure out how to stop you. So lie, get out, do everything you can, doesn't matter, because if not, you're gonna die, you're gonna go insane. So you have to do whatever you have to do to get out. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm a good person, but what needs to be done is to just lie to get out of it. So you say one thing and then you're doing another. You're going, so you already made the decision, I got to get out of here. But you have to lie, because if they figure out what you're doing, they're going to try and do everything they can to stop you. So eventually you have to you have to, you see, that isn't a lie, really. That's not a lie, because you're not lying to a good soul. You're lying to a dark soul that is manipulating you all the time. But this is the internal battle all the time. You don't want to lie. You don't want to be deceiving. You don't want to be, this is not who I am. And then you go crazy because you're realizing you're going crazy. That's why going to a therapist saying, I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to do this. I want to be a better person. Show me what I'm doing wrong. Why am I getting angry? Actually, it's not you. What do you mean it's not me? It's not you. Wow.
In traditional demonology and spiritual warfare, dark entities they're never viewed as chaotic or reckless. They are viewed as shrewd lawyers. So they understand the spiritual laws of free will and consent. So they know they can't just break down a person's door by force.
Like I said, what she's saying is the manipulation of, oh, I'd love for you to take me to so and so. Oh, I'd love to go. You know, it'd be so lovely to go to here. Oh, you know, I'd just love to do this course or to do that. Yeah, there you go. That's like opening the door. It's the same thing. Soon as you've consented to doing that, it's not a consent though, guys. That's not a consent. That's them knowing how to manipulate you. Oh, well, he's doing it for me, so that's okay.
Instead, they have to trick the person into opening it. So that's when I say they're looking for specific loopholes or entry points to
I
gain
think we're saying the
legal
same
right
thing,
to
Ella.
access a person's
We're just
life
saying
and
it
mind.
differently.
Entities target familiar lines and old, unhealed generational wounds. If a person grew up with severe trauma or rejection or abandonment, that pain creates a psychic fracture, which then operates as an open wound.
100% true. I wouldn't call it as a fracture. What I would call it is a burn, a burn mark. I think the what I remember of, I don't know psychology at all, but I do know that within the brain there is a computer, and that computer stores certain things that happen, and the storage normally is of high, dark. So high moments, it's stored. Dark moments, it's stored. So you could kind of say that in the computer, it got burnt there, or it got fixed there, and that burn mark is always there. From the brain, you will react to a memory that will then trigger you to the point of what that memory was, and you will reenact that memory by way of knee-jerk reaction, because you never figured it out, you never worked it out, you blamed yourself, it was all your fault, you were beat and you feel sorry for yourself because it's all me, even though your brain is trying to, you see, your brain is the worst program in the world because it has no clue to anything. So it tries to figure things out by a way of a program that you've programmed, and there's no knowledge or information in there, so you'll never figure it out. So your soul can only do that. But what's being said is that they will wait, they will ask, they will do everything they can to figure out your weakness. And that means your heavy energy that is attached to the burn mark. So there is a connection between the burn mark and what sits inside the body. I don't know if you ever knew this, but there are certain patterns that happen with you and with animals. There's a great subject matter that was mentioned many years ago, and my dad told me about it when I was 11. In my attic, where my dad used to paint and sometimes allow me to paint, he brought back a 22 pointer deer antler. So I don't know how I don't know how the deer died. I have no idea. He never told me. But the antler was huge. And pointers mean the points of the antlers. So each point, the bigger the deer. And it was 22 points because I count them all. And he told me something about deers, and he says this came off a deer, I think, that was killed because it had the attached head, or not the head, the skull part, and antlers fall off, right? You know this, right? Antlers fall off. I'm getting somewhere here. The antlers fall off. He told me that if the deer has a fight with another deer and part of the antler snaps, when that deer regrows antlers, where that snap was will grow another point. Which means, if you think about it, when something happens to you traumatic, it's ingrained in you and it's a memory. And it's shown by a way of a deer. So if you snap or cut a part of the antler off, when they regrow again, it will show you. It will be there, and it will show you how that was where that broke off, because here's another piece that would never have been there. It's fascinating. But what I'm saying is, where I'm trying to get to is that we get snapped all the time, and that memory is within us. And I also believe that it can be brought back as well. That's an interesting fact that we can. I think a lot of the traumas that the physical, I'm talking about the physical here, the physical body. My dad had stomach issues, so I was born with stomach issues. So there's something in the body, this amazing body, that holds a memory. That's all. Anyway, I've gone off on one.
And the entity can attach to that specific fracture because the person's spiritual armor is weakened there. A narcissist is a master scanner of human vulnerability. So during the love...
So a narcissist is a master scanner. That doesn't make sense, because what you're saying is when you say a narcissist, you're making it sound like a person with a disorder, a psychological disorder. They can't scan anything. But if you said, take that away and said, this dark soul can spot vulnerability as negative energy in you, and it's going to feed from that, and it's going to focus on that, and it's going to target that, so then it's going to make that even more worse and worse. And that is the place where the most vulnerable energy is, that I need to work on and feed from. Again, we're saying the same thing, we're just saying it slightly differently. This woman is bang on. She's probably the best so far that I've ever heard. I absolutely love her. And this conversation isn't ego. This is, oh, I know better than you. No, I love it. Like you're going to tell me things and expand my mind. And hopefully, I don't know whether you're listening, Nelly, but maybe you might expand and you might say, oh, I already knew that. It's just I explained it this way. And like, yeah, fine. There is no ego here, guys. I love what she's saying. That's why I'm playing it. I'm not playing it to make you think that she's saying anything wrong. She isn't. She's absolutely right. We're just saying it differently. So if she's watching, she's great. You're doing great work. That's why I'm sharing you. How many people do I share? Seriously? How many? Not many.
Form phase. They don't just flatter you, but they interview you. I made a comedy skit about this. It was the first one I ever made. They ask about your childhood. They want to know everything about your past heartbreaks and your relationship with your parents. They aren't doing this to get to know you.
High IQ ADHD brains are the most dopamine addicted. Here's why that
This to get to know you. They're looking for a fracture. So if you have an unhealed wound of needing approval, for example, or fearing abandonment, that's the loophole. And they're going to later weaponize that exact wound to make you tolerate their abuse.
Absolutely. She's 100% correct. Anyway, guys, write this down. I can't believe we've only got. Oh, I can't believe we're at 17 minutes 52. And it's a video which is 46 minutes 41. The video is called The 9 Traits Malignant Narcissists Share with Demonic Entities. I urge you to go and watch the full video, send her a message, and maybe you could just say to her, hey, Mark shared your video. I'm over here because of it. And we'd love to have you on the show with Mark. That'd be great if she came on. I've tried to get David Icke on as well. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. David's on loads of podcasts. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I spoke to Charlotte. Charlotte spoke to Gareth, and I have another crickets. I don't know why. Why can't we just talk? Why can't we just delve and talk? I don't know. Because I'm happy to listen to Nelly, and Nelly says, well, I disagree with that. I think it's this way. And I'm like, yeah, wow, yeah, you're right. I get it. And you go away and sit and, I've got to end here now, and we'll come back to this video and watch part 2. But because I've got an appointment. When I did a healing session 20 years ago, and then the hour later I did another healing session, and then the hour later another one. I might have done 4 or 5 healing sessions that day. I used to get up, go to pick my 2 schnauzers up, and go for a walk and sit by a tree. Do you know why I did that? I did that because it is at that moment that true understanding and through contemplation, through asking and listening and putting the pieces together, that I learned the most. What have I learned in 8 years? I've been here 4 months now. I have learned so much about what I went through. Could I have learned at that point? I couldn't. It takes you to pull out of it and then look at it, and then the pieces come together. So I'll just leave it there. I think you might understand what I'm saying, right? In the healing, in the moment of healing, or in the moment of suffering, it is never understood or recognized. I can't say to you, I did a healing session, I know exactly what that was. I'm like, I have no idea. I've got to go away now, and it might take a day, it might take a week, it might take a month. But eventually, because I'm open to understanding or learning or trying to put the pieces together, that we eventually see either a pattern or a penny drop moment. So I guess what I'm saying is I make this video for a new bunch of clients now. And those clients are who are in a 10-year relationship, 20-year relationship, 1-year relationship. One lady sent me a message yesterday who's just started going out with somebody, and she says, please tell me what is this? And I say, here are the trademarks that I've learned that are so subtle and yet so powerful. And here are my reactions of what I went through. And this lady went, oh my God. She wrote, oh my God. Meaning that she's going through the very same thing. Now, I can't fix that by saying to you, leave. That is not what a healer should ever do. A healer should hold your hand and walk with you, whether you're dying of cancer, whether you are walking a new spiritual path, whether you are learning, whether you are going through a dark soul attack, whether you are, whatever it is, we hold your hand and we are with you, because any true healer knows that your relationship, your journey, your path is an experience. And if you fall, I'm not here to catch you. I'm here. You've fallen. Bam, it's hurt. It's bad. Now I'm here to hold your hand, to walk with you. Did you feel it? Yeah. If I catch you, what have you learned? You've learned nothing. Oh, thank God for that. Well, maybe you'll learn it again. I don't know. But maybe, like my daughter, she goes through things like, darling, you've got to go through it. But what do? I don't know, darling. I don't know what you do, but I'm here and you're a beautiful soul and I'll give you as much healing as you need, but you have to go through what you need to go through, which she did many years ago, which was a very, very difficult challenge to my daughter. I would never wish it on anybody. But look at her now. She's more powerful. She understands things more. She's got it. And I know there's an argument to be said with Mark Passio is like, oh, that's because we're here and we're in a demonic world and it's all about hurting us. And like, yeah, granted, I get it. I totally get it. But actually, is my daughter, is she bitter? Am I bitter? Am I twisted? Has it made me evil? Has it made me angry? Has it made me jealous? Has it made me greedy? Is it? No, because my soul is what my soul is. Forgiveness, love, compassion. We know exactly what all that is within ourselves. No point trying to give it to a dark soul. So we've learned something. So I would say to Mark, you're right, Mark, but you know what? I've learned something on this planet. And that is not to waste my energy on dark souls, not to mess or interact with NPCs without souls. But I had to come to this point by falling off my bike to understand this. And I'm glad I fell off my bike and I'm glad it hurt me, because how else would I have ever understood anything? So that's where I'll leave it, guys. I'm wishing you all a lovely day. If you're in a difficult relationship, I'm here. Nellie's here. All we're here to do is confirm what you already know. And when the time is right, it will happen. No force, no push. When you are ready, you will do what you need to do. And I wish you a lovely day, guys. I am sorry that if I've upset anybody and may have come across in any negative way. I am filled with, look in my eyes, I am filled with love. No, I am joyful now. I'm telling stupid jokes on my motorbike. To myself. I'm filled with love and happiness now. So as I'll leave you on a very, very serious and very, very powerful note by a very powerful guru. So listen carefully, okay? His name is Mark Bayersky, and he's a guru. So listen to this. Let you buy a bumper sticker or put it on your fridge. Are you listening? It'll change your life forever. You can pick your friends. And you can pick your nose. But you can't pick your friend's nose. Let's just leave it there. Think about that.